Greetings. So it's been a little while since we've done one of these little supplemental videos, but there were a few little things that I wanted to just kind of throw in after last week's session, and not it's not really going to be a part of this Sunday session, I don't think. So we've been looking at Colossians 3. Didn't mean to do that. Sorry. We've got to get on the right level here. All right. We've been looking at Colossians 3:15 through 17, and we have discussed this peace of Christ right here. We said we spent a lot of time talking about exactly what that is, what characterizes that. And then last Sunday, we spent some time on this word right here, talking about rule. And we said that it's not really so much like a boss or a CEO, but it's more like the Greek word carries the meaning more of, like, I'm going to abbreviate these, like a referee or an umpire, or if you would like to think of it this way, like a line judge. And we discussed a little bit, how does the peace of Christ act as a referee or a line judge or an umpire for you? How does that work for you? How does it fill that role? And the thing that I want to kind of get at today is that it would be very easy, since we're talking about the peace of Christ right here, to get the idea that this really all just has to do with me being calm and me being at peace, or me being not having a lot of anxiety. And it does have to do with that. But this is one of those times where I say it is that, but it's not just that. All right. So I want to go to, I referenced really briefly last Sunday, I referenced Ephesians 2:13 through 17. And I want to point out a few things in this passage. First of all, there's a lot that happens. Again, didn't mean to do that. So I got to fix that little situation. Okay, got it. I want to point out a few things that happen in this passage. But I also want to point out the manner in which they occur. All right, so there's going to be a lot that goes on. I'll mark that up here in a minute. But let's take a note of this first. These things that happen come about by blood and flesh and body. Well, now, what does that remind you of? Man, that is the cross. That's the cross of Christ. That is the sacrifice of Christ worked right into this passage here. All of these accomplishments that came about, that have happened, came about through the cross. Now, let's look at the things that are in here. First of all, I'm going to start here. It says Jesus is him. He himself is our peace. And so what does that mean? I said a moment ago, the big point, that the reason I'm making this little video is because I wanted to say it's not just about me being calm or me being at ease or me not worrying about everything. It's about more than that, because this peace of Christ, Jesus Christ, is our peace. And it was, first of all, brought about by a huge expense, which we know, blood, flesh, body, has done a number of things. You who were brought far away have been brought near. So there's one, brought near. Right? And I think that's a reference to Jew and Gentile, but I think it applies to mankind in general. He made the two groups one. So, and we talked about this last week. There's a level of unity that is established by this peace of Christ, right? Where there was hostility before, there is no longer. There are barriers destroyed. He has destroyed the barrier. The dividing wall of hostility has come down. And it's been set aside. And that's what happened in his flesh right there. And the law and the commands and its regulations have been, that's all been changed. There's a new covenant. So there's so much that has been accomplished here by this blood and this flesh and this body. It goes on to say his purpose was to create in himself one new humanity out of the two. And again, we have that idea of unity right there, thus making peace. And in the one body, and look at this, reconcile both to God by the cross. So not only is it a horizontal unity, this unity right here, I'm thinking about it being horizontal between people. People are brought together by this peace of Christ. There is a unity among the people by this peace of Christ. But there is also this vertical aspect to it where reconciliation to God of all of these people, Jew, Gentile, everybody, reconciliation to God has also happened. And so there's a vertical aspect to it. And the thing that I wanted to just emphasize here is that, again, it would be so easy when you're looking back here at Colossians 3 to say, well, all right, so this is just about, oops, sorry, I meant to circle this. This is just about me being calm and me being peace and me being at peace and me not having anxiety and me not worrying. And well, yes, it is that, but it's not just that. Look at everything else that it is. It's about unity, a horizontal unity. It's about reconciliation to God, a vertical aspect to it. And it was brought about by Jesus' body and his flesh and his blood. I got those backwards. His blood and his flesh and his body. And this portion of it right here just moves you to be reminded of the grace of God and everything that the grace of God has accomplished, which involves all this unity and all this reconciliation. And so it is a thing that makes me calm and puts me at ease and helps me handle life, but it's so much more than that. And I really wanted to make sure that we made that big connection to the idea that the peace of Christ, as it works to be a referee or an umpire, or if you want to think of it as just a force in our lives, that's not a bad way to think of it either. It's an influence in our lives, right? So this peace of Christ just does a whole lot more just than put me at ease about things. So yeah, that's what I wanted to make sure that we emphasize here a little bit. I'm looking forward to continuing the study in Colossians 3, and I'll see you there.